President Donald Trump has signed a $600 billion deal with Saudi Arabia as he ends America's sanctions on Syria.
Well, during his trip to the Middle East, President Trump said that he's hoping to forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world.
Hopefully succeed in stabilizing the country and keeping peace. That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing, many years. That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade.
But can President Trump succeed in his bid for peace in the world? To discuss this, we're joined by Deputy Editor of The Spectator, Freddie Gray, and founder and director of Unplugged Coalition, Jennifer Powers.
Good morning to the both of you. Freddie, let's start with you. Do you think Trump can bring peace to the world?
Well, it's obviously a very difficult mission, but I think he has a better chance of doing it than perhaps any recent predecessor president. I thought his speech yesterday in Riyadh was extraordinary, actually. In front of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he said, I'm not coming over here to lecture you about how to run your country. I'm not one of these peoples in planes that will fly in, tell you how to build your society, ruin your society and get out. I'm here to do business. And it's very transactional. It's very crude. People don't like it. But Trump has an affinity with the Arab world. In fact, I sometimes think he would make a great sheikh. He doesn't drink. He understands the importance of oil. But on a sort of, I mean, that's sort of being silly, but on a serious level, he's serious about peace. He doesn't like wars. He doesn't like American interventions. And we have seen the last 20, 30 years have taught us that America intervening in the Middle East goes wrong, very, very disastrously wrong. Donald Trump is keen not to do that. He's under a lot of pressure from Israel to attack Iran. He's resisting Israel at the moment, and it's costing him quite a lot of diplomatic capital. At the weekend, we saw that his influence, he took too much credit for it, perhaps, but his influence undoubtedly helped de-escalate a very, very worrying situation between India and Pakistan, and that's because of actually his tariffs. He was able to say, if you want a free trade deal with me to India, you're going to have to calm down a little bit on Pakistan. Similarly to China, which is Pakistan's sponsor in many ways, he was able to say in negotiations in Geneva, we need to calm this situation down in Kashmir. So he is a peaceful president, and his style is so kind of rumbustious and explosive at times that people struggle to see it. But he is trying to achieve peace in Ukraine, and a lot of people haven't been for a long time.
Well, Jennifer, you don't see it, do you?
Have you been getting a load of spam in your email recently? What about random calls? It's really annoying, isn't it? Data brokers are out there collecting your personal information. Anything from your email, your full name, your address, and even your political affiliation. Cyber criminals can even use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick people into sending them money. And it gets even worse. People out there are getting huge loans taken out in their names without even knowing about it. But don't worry, because the sponsor of this video, Incogni, can help. They reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information is removed from their databases. Incogni continues to make sure that your data is removed automatically from the internet via repeated removal requests. So, how can you get started? Well, step one, hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account and tell us whose data you'd like removed. Step two, grant Incogni the right to work on your behalf. Step three, sit back, relax and watch Incogni work. They will update consistently so you know when your data has been removed. Incogni is risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it for yourself and you'll get a free refund if the service isn't for you. So take back your personal data today with Incogni. Use the code GBNews using the link in the description below and you'll get 60% off an annual payment plan.
Well, I want to believe what Freddie's saying, but I think there is a yawning gap between the rhetoric and the reality of the Trump's presidency on foreign policy. I agree. I love the idea of his mantra of peace through strength, but what we see in practice is we see him cozying up to the Qataris, who are massive supporters and funders of Hamas and other terrorist organizations. As Freddie said, we see him reluctant to stand up to Iran and is reluctant to get rid of their nuclear program, which will only store up greater threats to peace in the future. The cozying up to Putin was extending and enabling the continued war against Ukraine. And all of this doesn't bode well for Taiwan, because if we see so much given to these aggressor nations, there's nothing to stop China from being emboldened to take over Taiwan. So again, I love the idea of peace through strength. I think it's the right strategy, but with a lot of what Trump does in practice, he's not following through and living up to that.
Freddie, is President Trump then an enabler when it comes to aggressive states?
I mean, that's the great appeasement argument, and it has some logic to it that, Putin will not be punished for having invaded Ukraine, and therefore he'll be encouraged to take more. My counter-argument to that is, what if we spend another 3 years arming the Ukrainians to fight Putin and he still wins, which looks as though it may happen? Will he have learned his lesson then? No. I think the Ukrainian situation is tragic. And I think where people get confused is they muddle up peace and justice, and the two things are not the same. And on Ukraine, peace may well be very, very unjust, but it will stop people dying. And Donald Trump has always said, I just want people to stop dying. He said that repeatedly on the campaign trail last year. And people love to say, oh, he's just sucking up to Putin and so on. I'm not sure he is. I think he's sincere about trying to end the conflict. And I think that's a good thing. You're quite right to raise China as the problem. I mean, America is possibly, as the world's leading superpower, with China emerging as a rival superpower. There's something called the Thucydides trap that may be sprung, which means war is inevitable when you have two emerging superpowers. One declining superpower, one emerging superpower. That is the real danger. Can Trump delay or prevent a war with China, perhaps over Taiwan, perhaps over something else? That's going to be the really difficult issue. But I'd say on all the other conflicts in the world, Trump is moving in the right direction.
I just don't know how you can. I mean, I understand the desire to support the Trump doctrine and the Trump presidency, Freddie, and you are there in the U.S., I believe. But as a Brit and an American, I can say that his approach to Israel continues to be really concerning. The rhetoric is there again, support for Israel against Hamas. But in reality, we have a president who is accepting a new Air Force One plane, which is, looks very much like bribery from Qatar, which is the state that supports and enables Hamas. We have him, failing to get the rest of the hostages out, despite promising that he would do it right away. It's wonderful that a hostage was released the day before yesterday, but we still have, dozens still in captivity. So I really think that, if we're going to look at the facts on the ground, we have a transactional president that is more interested in getting a free plane than standing up to the nuclear risk that Iran presents. And that doesn't bode well for peace.
No, that's a whole other story. Guys, I've got to leave it. We're out of time. Freddie, really appreciate it. Jennifer, thank you both very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.